Okay, at this time, I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's Tuesday, March 29th, 2020 at 7 p.m. We'll start with roll call to my left.
Dr. Joseph Ford, City Council member.
Shelby Carcelari, City Council member.
Ronnie Price, Mayor.
Tim Berry, City Council member.
Homer, City Council.
Mike Warrington, City Council.
Buck Buchanan, Police Chief.
Davis, Chief Financial Officer.
Lance Onstadt, Assistant City Administrator.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
Rick Lanzis, Director of Public Works and Utilities.
JT Klaus, City Attorney with Jessica Williams.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Susan Renner, City Clerk.
All right, this time we're going to, do we get Homer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have a few delays tonight. We got two fine governing body members on Zoom, so we'll be waiting for them to yes or no votes and things of that matter. And at this time, we'll do invocation. Will be led by Jerry Smith, the First Baptist Church in Andover, Kansas.
Well, I've been here when there's just 5 or 6 people here, so I didn't know we were seeing March Madness highlights tonight or what. But let's pray. Lord, we thank you for just a beautiful day today, and Lord, it's nice to have some warm weather after those winter months of cold. We thank you for just these who work and serve and live and do business in our community. Those who teach in our schools, those who just come to events and support our city in those ways as well. We thank you those who have lived here for a long time or those who've lived here just for a short time. We thank you for these council members and city staff and workers who give their lives to our community. We pray for their health and their families and just their wisdom as they make decisions that will affect us all. Lord, we thank you for the recent rain we've had, and we just thank you for such a wonderful community in which to live and serve. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. At this time, I'll ask Andover Troop 533 to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you would, stand with us.
Guys,
Thanks, guys. Thank you for coming up. Thank you. All right. Cool. Let's do it.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Either way, guys.
All right. This time I'm going to open the floor for public forum. If you have anything you'd like to talk to us about, address the governing body, state your name, your address, and keep it short, please. Anybody? All right. Public forum's closed. Acceptance of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Citizens request 7-1 event request MTW. Katie Court is going to talk to us.
Good evening. I am here. I'll be up here for a few things. But right now I'm up here to request some things for Music Theater Wichita. As you know, they came in earlier this year or late last year to approve some things with Jersey Boys. They'll be out here in May. And now what we're here tonight to do is just some logistical things. So I'm here representing them. Basically closing the park during their performances and their pre-show activities, May 18th through the 22nd. And along with that, on the same dates, we have to get approval to sell goods and services, consumption of alcohol, and food trucks on public property. So just pretty standard stuff. And then they're also hosting a fundraiser on May 25th. So the times and all of that are in your packet. And if you have any other questions, I can answer them.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve Music Theater Wichita's request to close Central Park south of Bush Parkway, excluding the dog park, and allow for the sale of goods, services, allow consumption and sale of alcohol, and allow food trucks to vend on public property during the following dates and times: Wednesday, May 18th, Friday, May 20th from 5 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., daily Saturday, May 21st from 11:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m., Sunday, May 22nd from 11:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., and Wednesday, May 25th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 7-2, Andover Chamber of Commerce, Katie Court.
All right, so we have Jody Katie's, did I say that right? Okay. Here to make some requests for the chamber. And if you have questions that she can't answer, I may be able to answer them too.
All right. Come on up. There's two of them.
It's not Jody times 2. I promise. Well, on behalf of the Cornhole Committee for the Andover Chamber, we would like to ask the city if you would be willing to do an in-kind sponsorship for our chamber's annual cornhole tournament by providing the venue at 13th Street Sports Park, the soccer fields, the parking lot, and the ACC on the date of May 13th between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. It is our annual cornhole tournament. We have about 50 teams. We were there last year, and we'd like to use the space again. With that being an in-kind sponsor, we would actually provide you 3 teams, the city employees, if you guys would like to, or city council, we would like for you guys to participate.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve Andover Chamber of Commerce's request to waive base reservation fees for use of the Andover Community Center and allow for the private sale of goods on public property, alcohol sales and consumption at 13th Street Sports Park on May 13th, 2022 from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Katie, do we have any other reservations for that area for that day? Okay.
Anything else? All in
I
favor,
participated last year, Mr. Mayor, and it was fun.
all in favor, say aye.
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 All All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ladies. All right, 8-1, AAA of Kansas.
I don't see home up there, that is fine.
Oh,
There he is, okay.
he's here. Okay. 8-1, AAA of Kansas Traffic Safety Award. And how you doing, sir?
Hi, thank you. Mayor Price, members of the council. My name is Sean Stewart. I'm Manager of Public and Government Affairs for AAA Kansas. I also want to recognize and thank Troy Wells, who's here from the Kansas Department of Transportation as a law enforcement liaison. He works very closely with us on these traffic safety awards. So thank you, Troy. The reason I'm here is that I'm proud to present Chief Buck Buchanan and Andover PD with their 11th consecutive AAA Kansas Traffic Safety Award. This is their 8th consecutive at the platinum level, which is the highest award that AAA bestows on law enforcement agencies. Andover PD is one of only 6 law enforcement agencies in the state to earn this award for all 11 years that we've given it. And this year, 35 agencies comprising 26 police departments and 9 sheriff's offices are earning the award. Andover PD is being recognized for a variety of programs and initiatives that foster traffic safety, including participating in a community-based traffic safety committee, having a departmental policy requiring the use of seat belts, working closely with the highly successful student-led Kansas Teen Seatbelt usage program. Seatbelts are for everyone, or safe. For the Andover Speed program, using radar trailers and pole-mounted speed radars to help control speed, especially in our neighborhoods. Providing child safety seat inspections and fittings to help Andover parents keep their young kids safe. And engaging in selective enforcement programs targeting problem areas around the community, especially school zones and areas of high vehicle collisions. These efforts have all led to an improvement in key traffic safety statistics in the city. I'd like to thank the mayor and the entire council for your support of Chief Buchanan and his team. No great police department can exist without the support of its city council and its city leaders. I'd also like to recognize Ben Graber and Lance Parker on the Andover PD team for all the great work that they and everyone else on the team have done, especially those two who have led efforts and have submitted the applications throughout the years. And finally, it's my pleasure to present Chief Buchanan and the entire Andover Police Department with this Traffic Safety Award. Congratulations.
So Sean asked me to speak real quick, and I'm going to make this very quick for myself. Sean's a local member as well. His kids go to school here in the Andover School District, and this is the last year they're going to have this award. Doesn't mean we're going to stop the programs. We're going to continue everything we've done because they've been very valuable in helping reduce accidents. It's just a very valuable program. We knew we couldn't stop doing what we're doing. We're going to miss Sean, but he'll still be here, so we'll be able to see him at basketball games or softball games, baseball now. So we appreciate it. It's an honor to be a part of this all these years, 11 years with you and Troy. But again, we still continue. So Lance is back to helping. Ben had been helping for many years with the traffic safety meetings. There's a lot we do. So, and it takes the community. So there's times where we'll get complaints. We'll have issues and they are addressed. And usually a lot of times those go to those committees that we have to make sure that we try to reduce and keep people safe in the city limits. So this is an honor for our city, not just for the department, but everybody as a whole. So thank you.
Thank you again. Great job.
All right. Nice work, y'all. this time we'll do I'm going to have the honor and privilege of swearing in Thomas Grissom. So we will proceed with that. I state your name.
I, Thomas Gresham,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
of America, I'm sorry,
of America,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and ordinance of the City of Andover,
and ordinance of the City of Andover,
and faithfully discharge the duties as a police officer
and faithfully discharge the duties of a police officer
of the City of Andover.
of the City of Andover.
So help me God.
So help me God.
On my honor,
On my honor,
I will never betray my badge,
I will never betray my badge,
my integrity, my
my character,
or the public trust.
or the public trust.
I will always have the courage
Will always have the courage
to hold myself
to hold myself
and others
and others
accountable for our actions.
accountable for our actions.
I will always uphold the Constitution of the United States
I will always uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Kansas,
and the state of Kansas,
my community,
my community,
and the agency I serve.
and the agency I serve.
So,
Thank you.
So normally this is a promotion. So since we went outside on this one to hire Tom, we'll have a pinning ceremony where we pin the badge on. I didn't think the mayor wanted to pin it on his coat. But we also have another ceremony where we have his bars. So we've got his family members that are going to actually present him with his bars tonight as well. So it's an honor to have Tom come from Augusta and Butler County. So we're looking forward to seeing him for many years with our department. So congratulations, Tom.
welcome to the family, y'all.
Thank you.
Welcome to the family. Oh, Proclamation Scholars Bowl 2022.
All right, well, the Scholars Bowl students, come on up. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas the Kansas 5A State Scholars Bowl Championship was held on February 12th, 2022 in Newton, Kansas. And whereas the Andover Central High School Scholars Bowl team prevailed over all of their opponents, thus winning back-to-back titles of the 5A State Championship. And whereas the Andover Central Scholars Bowl team has a record of excellence now with 4 Scholars Bowl state championships since 2014. And whereas the team continued level of high achievement brings honor and pride to the Andover community. And whereas the team's success is due to large part of the teamwork and devotion of these dedicated students. Let's see, is it June? Okay. Drew? Okay. Amen. Okay. Jacob, Alex, and Garrett, along with their coaches Brett and Bethany. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Ronnie Price of Andover, Kansas, with the concurrence of the City Council assembled in regular session at Andover, Kansas, this 29th day of March, 2022, hereby proclaim Wednesday, March 30th, 2022, ACHS Scholars Bowl Day and recognize that the 2021-2022 Andover Central High School Scholars Bowl team as state champions. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Okay. I didn't see that.
10, consent agenda 10-1 through 10-7.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move we approve the consent agenda item 10.1 through 10.7 as presented.
Second.
Homer seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Heritage Square, 11-1, sculpture agreement, and Rick Lancer is going to talk to us about this.
Mr. Mayor, and I will point out there's a example of the sculpture there. This project, this sculpture is part of the Heritage Square Park that has a current budget of 2.8 million. Of that 2.8 million budget, 150,000 was programmed for the bronze statue. As you will see, this contract or this agreement is for 260,000. It leaves a overage of approximately 110,000 if I'm doing my math right. And that money will come from other savings throughout the whole TIF project. So we'll be able to make it up. But the reason this agreement is before you is because it involves the TIF funds and the agreement. The city has to be a party of the agreement. If any of you would have any questions, Lance Beal is a developer's rep here tonight, and I'm sure he would be more than happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Anybody?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I do have a question, I guess, for Lance. In regards to the items that are not included in the above bid on that contract, so the crane, the lighting, was that thought of in the original bid? Or are we going to be well exceeding the 260 with the extra stuff as well?
Thought you were going to get off easy, didn't you?
Yeah. Lance Beal with Lease Properties, representing the Heritage Development. I don't know the exact answer to your question. There are additional expenses in addition to the cost of the actual sculpture. It's just all part of the TIF program. Stuff that we anticipated, but we don't know the exact figure.
So then I guess second part of that question is, instead of doubling it, why didn't we cut the heritage man or whatever down to 5 feet instead of 10 feet?
That wasn't even an option. This is the anchor of the heritage, and it represents the spirit of the heritage. So we didn't even consider that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Councilmember Henry Marin, just from a staff perspective, as you'll see with the next item. So the TIF project plans include obviously a large amount of expenditures, a large amount of projects, and that were all budgeted. We're fairly confident at this early stage in these projects that we'll be able to find the savings in other directions. As your Director of Community Development will present with the next item, a large package of those items that were scheduled to come from the TIF also realized significant savings. So staff is confident working, with the development team, their agents, that will be able to recognize savings in other places that will be able to fund the overage of the sculpture.
Thanks, Lance.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'd like to approve the assignment and assumption agreement with Mike Lees and Kurt Matson, Fine Arts, to not to exceed amount $260,000.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Mike motioned.
Homer seconded.
All right. Motion carries 5-0. I'm sorry. 12, Heritage Mixed Use First Edition Water and Sewer Project bids. And Les Mangus, as stated, will talk to us about this. Excuse.
Last week, we took bids on a significant portion of the public improvements for the Heritage Mixed Use Project. It includes some water work, some sanitary sewer work, grading, storm sewer, paving of Archer Drive, paving of a portion of Founders Parkway. And as Lance said, we did have a pretty substantial savings over the engineer's estimate. McCullough Excavating was the low bidder at $1,863,226.50. The budget for the project was a little over $2 million, $2,004,000. So like he said, there will be some give and take in these bids as they come along. We're just happy to see a set of bids that come in under the engineer's estimate in these trying times for budgeting public improvements.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from McCullough Excavation in the amount of $1,863,226.50 and reject all other bids and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for the Heritage Mixed Use First Edition Water Paving and Incidental Drainage, Archer Drive Paving, East Founders Parkway Water Distribution System, East Founders Parkway and Archer Drive Drainage, Heritage Mixed Use First Edition and adjacent unplatted tract paving and incidental drainage, and Part A sanitary sewer and water distribution system improvements, TIF improvements.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can Les go over what in the bid tabulation at the bottom, the math errors, what do those actually mean in regards to, like, was the bid put out and then they said, oops, we did it wrong? Or what does that mean at the bottom?
With every set of bids, the engineer for the project goes through all of the math in every one of the bids to assure that the line items total across and the project total is correct. In this case, there was two math errors in the line items that somehow were corrected at the bottom line total for the project.
Okay, thanks, Les.
Anyone else? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 13-1, Heritage Second Edition Paving, amended paving petition and amending resolution of advisability. And Lance Onslaught will speak on this.
Mr. Mayor, council members, although official consideration of 13.1 through 13.3 will follow that order, I'm going to kind of ask your Director of Community Development to kind of give an overview of what has transpired with this project overall that's brought us to these three items, and then to also give you a more detailed overview of specifically item 13.3. Once we go through kind of setting that background and explain 13.3, I'll have Les kick it back over to me. We'll talk about 13.1 and 13.2, and then you can consider those three in that order. So with that, I'll turn it over to Les to kind of give us an overview of how we got to tonight.
After this project was designed and actually out for bid, the engineer discovered that there was a natural gas pipeline in a rear yard easement that was in conflict with the storm sewer and the grading on this project. And that gas line will ultimately have to be relocated to clear the way for the new storm sewers and grading. We've been in contact with Kansas Gas Service. They've put together a design for this relocation work and a price, and we'll consider that with their agreement after the work is authorized to be added to the petitions for paving on the project.
So what you have before you tonight is obviously an amended petition, which we'll talk about first. So this project, this paving project that includes this storm sewer and grading work, was petitioned for by the owner to the governing body and ultimately accepted for the use of special assessment financing. Because of this additional work, the only change that you see in this amended petition tonight is adds language, adding the scope of this utility relocation into it. It does not change the amount of the petition at all. So it's largely a procedural action for your consideration, but that amended petition is yours to consider acceptance of. And then obviously every time we do a petition for public improvement, you have to also consider that resolution of advisability and work ordinance that authorizes the construction of those improvements. So those are items 13.1 and 13.2, and then that agreement with Kansas Gas to actually complete that relocation is 13.3.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the amended paving petition and adopt amending resolution of advisability related to the Heritage Second Edition.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All-
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
sorry, go ahead.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt an amending ordinance authorizing the construction of the certain internal improvements related to the Heritage Second Edition.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question about
Yes, sir.
13.3. Les, is this gonna cause any trouble for, I mean, is this all in, my map is all funky here, so I apologize, and I meant to ask this question earlier before, but is this all in the Heritage where they're moving the line?
The easement actually straddles the property line with the adjacent Willowbrook addition.
Is that gonna cause major
Shouldn't be,
structure or major damage to their yards or anything like that?
no, it shouldn't be a major imposition on those, because the grading work is fairly minor. It just made the gas line too shallow for their standards.
Okay. Is this gonna cause them not to be without gas for a day? Do you know, can you speculate to that, or?
There may be some minor inconveniences as pipelines are disconnected and reconnected and pressurized.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Can I get a motion on 13.3?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question kind of along with Tim's thing. Is that, so if we do go into the yard or something of, I believe you said Willowbrook, do we just return it to better or same as or better condition than less?
The project will do restoration as needed.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the agreement with Kansas Gas Service Company to relocate natural gas facilities in conflict with the Heritage Second Edition paving and incidental drainage project in the amount of $43,064.36.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. City property liability insurance 2022 to 2023 insurance through ICI. And Lance, excuse me, I believe he's going to speak to us on this.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as you guys are aware, the city carries a substantial automobile property and liability insurance policies. The city currently utilizes ICI Insurance as the broker for these services. Dusty Davis with ICI Insurance is going to present to you the results and recommendation of the renewal of policies.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for allowing me to present our proposal for the insurance program for the city of Andover for the 22-23 policy term. Throughout this process, we've worked closely with the city staff on working through the property schedule, the vehicle schedules, equipment schedule for all the departments. So a lot of time and effort gone through the renewal process, and we appreciate the time and the help from the city working through this. Currently, the insurance program is with Travelers Insurance. And this stage in the insurance industry, we're seeing basically what we call a hard market, where companies are taking a good look at the profitability, what's going on in the industry, things like that. There's several things that contribute to the hard market. In my executive summary, I listed a few of those items that we're seeing. One thing is large property claims throughout the Midwest. Things are getting more severe as well on the storms that we see. We've all talked about increased cost of construction the last couple of years, what's that's done for values as well. Labor shortage, supply issues, social inflation, where we're seeing higher claims from a liability standpoint. Auto repair cost has drastically gone up, along with distracted drivers. All those things has basically contributed to what we call as a hard market. This impacts pricing, deductibles, capacity from the industry. So knowing that and seeing the increases that we had from a carrier, we provided a proposal from Travelers, the current current company, and also EMC Insurance provided a proposal for the renewal as well. So in the packet, we have a spreadsheet that basically outlines the coverages from current coverage and match up what we have with both carriers. Throughout this process, we look at the deductibles, the liability limits, things like that from a true comparison to make this to match this up from a coverage standpoint and deductibles as close as possible. With that, I know the spreadsheet's kind of hard to read. I won't go through all of that. But when we look at basically the total premium, we show last year's renewal offer from Travelers. The premium for 2022-23, you can see is $200,462 from Travelers. And EMC's proposal, we're at $174,067. So truly a substantial savings overall. Little history: we've been with Travelers since 2018 for the insurance program. Prior to that, we were with EMC for a number of years. So there is some history there. This is something that EMC has been writing public entity business for a number of years. So very comfortable with the risk overall. And throughout this process, we think it's put together a nice proposal for the city to consider for that part. I also have Ashley Mitchell she's our EMC marketing rep. She's happy to answer any questions as well, kind of talk about some of the resources, some of the special services that they do offer. But just through our conversations with the city staff, the city feels very comfortable with EMC. Travelers has done a good job for the city. But when we're looking at where a hard market is and from a true premium savings, EMC was by far the best option. I'll be happy to answer any questions, to go through any other parts of this. The second piece of this too is the Andover Fire Department program that we have through the FIS, a special program that we've had for many years. Chief Russell has been very happy with what they've done for the fire department. We can see just a straight renewal from them from last year to this year. Added one vehicle, so the premium's up slightly $1,000, but overall still very, very competitive. And they provide great coverage for the fire department.
Any questions? Mr. Mayor, I do have a couple. Lance or Susan or somebody, we always talk about, we want to try and keep things easier for the city, the continuity for it. So when we do switch over to new insurance company, how hard is it for us? What all do we have to do on the back end?
Yes, switching providers is never easy per se. But like Dusty said, we switched providers, I think it was for 2018. So switching out cards and, getting all the staff up to speed on who contacts are, and largely our contact remains with ICI to help guide us through that. So I wouldn't advise you that the impediment or additional staff burden should stand as an impediment to making a selection. But there is work associated, but it's not anything.
So
we're
we
not.
spend $4,000 on payroll to get new cards and everything else up on.
No, it's not an identifiable impact that we have.
And then Dusty, I have a question about the earthquake coverage. Travelers, is the $5 million coverage, but yet EMC is $37 million. Explain that a little bit.
Good question there. Each company has their comfort level on what type of coverage they would do for earthquake. This was something that was built into the Travelers program, basically a $5 million limit. EMC was able to provide the entire limit for the coverage that we have in place for the property schedule. So it's just kind of a different way they do it, but truly earthquake is something that we like to provide that option. Knock on wood, we haven't had anything in years for a coverage standpoint to come from earthquake.
And then one more question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you talk about the law enforcement liability? Is $1 million enough? I mean, because we were the 1 million and then 2 million, the limit. So
Yeah. So right below that as well, that's a $1 million per occurrence and aggregate for the limit with AMC. We do have an umbrella policy that provides another $1 million of the coverage. So we would have up to $2 million of the coverage for the liability limit.
is that enough in this day and age?
We are seeing large increases on law enforcement liability. That's one thing where you can see that rate has increased drastically over the last several years. What we can do, we know that coverage is there. It's also part of the Kansas Tort Claims Act has a $500,000 cap for some of these policies for any coverage in Kansas that was brought there. So that's a straight cap, no matter what. That could be a limit that's not above that for law enforcement. But $1 million is the most that we can offer in one setting there.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the 2022-2023 property and liability insurance policies with EMC and VFIS as outlined in the amount of $191,104.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I can add one comment. Dusty, can you briefly talk about the cyber liability coverage that we have?
Good point. Thanks, Lance. In the middle of the packet there, we have cyber liability, and it's with BCS Hiscox. So that's a specialized coverage that we put together a couple years ago. We're seeing numerous claims out there. It's something you hear on the national news almost every day. So you can see that premium's up a little over $1,500 from last year. Working with Craig from the IT department, it was basically a mandate from the insurance carrier to have multi-factor authorization required. This is something the city went through last year. A lot of work on his hands and things like that, but truly this was a requirement for an insurance carrier to even provide this proposal. If you didn't have the MFA in place, not sure we could even provided a limit that it would have been probably $25,000 with limit coverage and all this. So it's something that the city spent some money on to go through that process, but it is a true protection for the city and your citizens, and something that looks good on your behalf to have that in place.
one of the reasons outside of just giving the awareness that cyber liability insurance is included in our current policies is that I know probably you all remember when we transitioned to that multi-factor authentication and it was generating a lot of emails and you had to get the text message to your phone to log into any of your systems. And this is the reason why, as Dusty stated, without that, would we even be able to bind cyber liability insurance is a real question, but even if you were, a substantial amount of savings were able to come from that. So your director of information technology, I don't believe is in attendance physically here. I think he's in his office running the Zoom. So kudos for sure to to the IT department.
Definitely.
All right. Any other questions? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all doing this. All right. So on this next one, I have to go through a checklist. It's 15-1, 601 South Andover Road, Z-2022-02. Before we proceed with the hearing, I will ask council if any of them intended to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they have conflict of interest.
No.
Excuse me. I will ask now if the council, I will now ask council if any of them have received ex parte verbal or written communication prior to this agenda item, which they would like to share.
No.
No.
Has the city clerk received any protest petitions on this case?
No protest petitions were filed in the office of the city clerk within the required 15 days following the planning commission's public hearing.
I now ask the council members if they have all received copies of the draft minutes of the planning commission for both February 15th, 2022 and March 15th, 2022, which summarizes the hearing of the case.
Yes.
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 I now call on the city zoning administrator, Les Mangus, to provide us with a report on this case.
You may remember that this case came to you before, and we weren't confident in the planning commission's recommendation because we didn't feel it accurately reflected the applicant's presentation and some general conditions that were attached to that zoning case. So you ultimately returned it to the planning commission for their reconsideration. They reconsidered those general provisions and additional text and sent forth a new recommendation, including the applicant's presentation as a part of their motion to accurately reflect that.
Have any written communications been received?
No written communications have been received in the office of the city clerk.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to present any new information? They do not. We would like to welcome everyone interested in this agenda item to come to the podium and give your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The governing body has been provided the draft minutes, and the video of the public hearing has been made available. So please limit your comments to information not previously shared at the public hearing held on February 15th, 2022 and the March 15th, 2022 meeting. Does anyone from the public have any new information? No. Do the council members have any question? Never mind. Does the applicant have any further response to public comment? No, because there wasn't any. Assuming the council has received all the information they need on this case, you have received an outline of the choices provided under the state statutes for council action KSA 12-757C. How do you wish to act?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt an ordinance accepting the planning commission's reconsidering findings of fact and recommendation for approval of zoning case Z 2022-02, changing the zoning district classification from the SF-1 single-family residential low-density district to B3 retail and service business district with an arterial transition overlay ATO as presented by the applicant, conditioned upon the successful dedication of satisfactory half-street right-of-way for Andover Road.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Bear Creek, oh. Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Persons aggrieved by this final decision of city council on this matter have 30 days after today's action within which to appeal to district court. All right. Prairie Creek Addition 6 phase, change order number 2. Rick?
Mr. Mayor and Council, this will be the second time tonight you're going to hear about a gas line issue. In the design phase, the engineer will have them go out and they do what they call a pothole to check the depth of the gas line. When they did that, they didn't exactly know the exact location they'd be crossing it, but they checked it in multiple places and it seemed to be running pretty uniform grade. So they made the assumption that it was going from point A to point B straight. Gas lines usually don't go up and down drastically. So they went in and designed the project and we bid it and started the project. And then at the time when they were laying the pipe, the storm sewer pipe that would go underneath it, they got to it and it didn't have the required 2-foot vertical clearance that's required. So it requires a change order. They have to lower 2 existing inlets that have been set. Well, they don't have to lower them, they have to lower the entrance points to them. And then they have to relay a portion of the storm sewer it was in, dig it back out, relay it, and then get it put in. This is a kind of a key line in the storm drain system. This is what carries the drainage from one subdivision phase into the pond. And you typically use series of these ponds together. And this is part of it that does that. The petition on this particular project, the bids on that storm sewer part of this was one of our few recently way under bid projects. And so the petition has $725,598.30 left if you choose to approve the change order for $14,900 with, or $14,490 with, excuse me, Meese Construction. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
Any questions, council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve change order number 2 to the Prairie Creek Addition 6th phase water, sewer, and drainage project with Mize. Is it Mize? Is that right? Mize? Meese Construction Inc., Wichita, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $14,490.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just see that the financials of this will just be put back on the, Mike Warrington's favorite, the specials for that neighborhood, correct?
That is correct.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Parks and Recreation request food trucks for 2022 baseball seasons and movie in the park series. Katie Court.
I'm back.
You sticking around?
Yeah, no problem. So our movie season and our baseball season is coming up on us. And I believe it was last year we started allowing food trucks to vend at movies. And then also at the baseball season, we used to do a concession stand during baseball, but we eliminated that during COVID because of all the restrictions. And then it's always had staffing issues and things like that. So we tried food trucks last year and I think it was pretty successful. So we we're here tonight to get permission for that again. And the movies this year are on April 16th, July 9th, August 13th, and October 22nd. And then the baseball season will be May 2nd through July 17th. And I can answer any questions if you guys have them.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve food truck vending at Central Park on April 16th, July 9th, August 13th, and October 22nd, and at the 13th Street Sports Park from May 2nd through July 17th.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Miss. All right, 18.1, KDOT estimate of possible local share. Les Mangus, sir.
As a project moves through the design pipeline with KDOT, there are numerous checks of the plans, the specifications, the estimates before KDOT actually puts that project out on the streets to collect bids from contractors. This letter from KDOT is kind of the last approval before they will release a project to go on their bidding list. In this case, the estimate is considerably higher than the estimate that our engineers provided KDOT with the final set of plans just a month ago. We're confident that our bids are a good, or our estimates are a good estimate of the market. KDOT wasn't quite that confident. They came in with a higher estimate, which they simply want the city to recognize that the local share of the project is higher should it bid up to their estimate. Now, should this project come in higher than our estimate, you always have the opportunity to decline. But I would caution you to decline that because we're already nearly $400,000 invested in this project. We've made a commitment to the USD 385 and our citizens to do improvements to this road project. But there's always that fair warning that this is all to be based around the bid as it comes in on April the 20th.
And I'm, pardon my ignorance, so we're already in there pretty deep is what you're telling us, right?
Yes, the local share of the project is all of the costs for the preliminary engineering design, all of the right-of-way acquisition costs, and all of the utility relocation costs. We've already done that preliminary design. We've already bought all the necessary right-of-way, and our public utility providers have already done their relocation work in preparation for this project. So not only do we have substantial investments as the city, the gas company, the phone company, water company, all have investments also in furthering this project along.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
To comment financially on the finance portion of that. So obviously we hope our engineers are right and KDOT's engineers are wrong. But if KDOT's engineers are correct, that overage, your director of community development, myself, the city administrator, and your chief financial officer have analyzed if it does, worst case scenario, come in at that overage, we will be able to absorb those additional costs within our street improvement fund without any impact to any of our other current projects or projected projects going forward. It just reduces a little bit of the balance that we carry there. So financially speaking, worst case scenario, we can absorb that overage if it is realized.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So Lance or Les, I mean, are we kind of showing our hand as far as how much we're willing to invest in? I mean, so like if we get 5 bids and you know, I'm not the best when it comes to how the bids go out and stuff, but is it possible now all the bids are going to be over at least if our share is 700,000, is that 50%? So are all the bids now going to be at least over $1 million? How would is some company come in and be around our estimate? Do you think? I mean, do you think that's even possible?
These estimates are never released to the public. They're all kept internal at KDOT.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any further questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to authorize the Director of Community Development to sign Kansas Department of Transportation estimate of possible share of the costs for the North Andover Road Improvements Project number 008 N-0714-01.
Second.
Go, Joe. All right. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. City-owned cell towers, 19-1, Tower Consultant and Management Agreement. And Lance will speak to us.
The city of Andover is in a pretty unique scenario with this situation. So the city owns a cell tower infrastructure at 3 of our city facilities, or 3 of our city properties: the wastewater treatment plant, Central Park, and then at 13th Street Sports Park. For reference, we did some kind of checking. We were able to find one additional city in the state of Kansas that enjoys this unique circumstance, and that's Overland Park, Kansas. So space on these towers that the city owns on city property is leased to private communications providers. For reference, the 2022 adopted budget includes approximately $108,000 in revenue from those lease agreements. So it is a major revenue source for one of our funds in particular, the Parks and Recreation Improvement Fund, and then the revenue for the one at the wastewater treatment plant is deposited into the wastewater utility fund. So much like the other, some other services the city contracts for, whether that's, legal or engineering, management of this specific technology is, specifically the market rents associated with these lease agreements is a highly specialized expertise, not one that traditional city staff has, and definitely not one that we have on staff. So since 2002, the city has had a contract with a consultant firm to manage not only these market leases that we're fairly regularly asked to renegotiate, but also a lot of the technology needs when new providers want to locate on them or they want to change out equipment, all things that we need to make sure that our infrastructure can handle. So we've been with the same consulting group since 2002. The city was contacted by that current provider, and they indicated to us that they were being acquired by a large international firm. That on top of our current agreement expiring in 2022. Because of both of those things, staff thought it prudent that we start exploring all the different management options for the city-owned infrastructure. So staff was able to identify 2 potential providers of these services and solicited proposals from both. Your agenda packet breaks down not only the 2 proposals received, but also comparatively with what our current agreement looks like. So because of that comparative analysis, our review of the scope of services and the local and regional experience, staff recommends approval of the agreement with LLC. The terms, as you say, for these services, that covers 10 hours of work on our equipment on behalf of us. Anything over 10 hours per month would be billed at a rate of $120 per hour, with a maximum annual expenditure of $35,000. So you'll see in the recommended action that the approval is actually in that not to exceed amount of $35,000. Staff does anticipate that we will generally be below that 10 hours a month. So really, we're hoping this annual expenditure will be $14,000, and I don't have it in front of me, $400 or $600. As part of the scope of services, the consultant is required to submit monthly reports detailing the time spent and that time was spent on. So we will be monitoring how much of this work, how much work is actually occurring. Outside of the compensation, the agreement term is through the end of 2023. So it'll cover us for a little bit of time here. And then it does have an automatic annual renewal unless either party indicates their intent to terminate per the terms that are in that agreement. With all of that, it's a lot of information. I can definitely answer any questions that you may have.
Do the hours roll over month to month? So if they only use 6 in one month, we get 4 extra the next month?
No, they do not. Not as drafted, anyway.
Mr. Mayor, I've got a question for Donna in regards to the 108,000 in the lease revenue that we get. Who determines that it goes to, or how does it determine that it goes to Parks and Recreation, wastewater, and those two funds?
The wastewater revenue comes from the tower that's located on the wastewater land.
Gotcha. Okay.
The other two towers are located in parkland. Therefore, we give the revenue. It's just a revenue stream for park improvements. That was a decision made by prior councils.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the tower consultant and management agreement with Telecom Realty Consultants LLC, Prairie Village, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $35,000.
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Manhole rehabilitation bid award 2022. Mr. Landers will speak to us on this.
Mr. Mayor and Council, every year we have been budgeting $25,000 for manhole rehab work. In 21, we didn't do any manhole rehab work, finding out some cost increases, and $25,000 probably wasn't going to be enough to do what we identified. We did expend $8,500 for a new camera system that allows us to do some detailed inspections on those, a little clearer and safer. And we continue to identify those. Last night at the workshop, we talked a little bit about our GIS system and some of our asset management stuff that we do now. And this is part of that, where when we clean sewer lines, we pop open manholes that we have cleaning the lines on, and we inspect those, and we note in our system if those need some sort of repair or work done to them. And then we come back to those annually and we run that report, and we identify ones that are the highest priority to us. And we proposal with Utility Solutions of $38,175 as being the low provider that met our specifications. We did have one that provided a system that is relatively out there. It doesn't meet our specifications. It doesn't mean that someday down the road we might accept it, but it's pretty new out, and we didn't have it in the spec to start with, so we didn't think it's fair for the other people. And also we haven't had a chance to really evaluate that newer technology. This does leave us $4,025 underneath our budgeted amount for the year, including if you add back in our $17,500 that we encumbered over from 2024 or 2021. Sorry. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer this.
So Rick, moving forward, will you look at that poly coating just to see?
We're always continuing to evaluate. I feel like especially our wastewater department has always been a little bit on the cutting edge. And we have a very good operator, manager, and assistant manager down there. And they are always continuing to look at. In fact, I was there with them today, but we were down to Rural Water Conference they're looking at other products and everything else. So we'll continue to evaluate. There's a lot of new products that come out. Not always are they the right fit for us. So we want to make sure we do what's best for our citizens and we get the most dollars we can for what we're spending.
Anyone else?
We've used these guys before, haven't we?
We have not used this company before. We did a lot of, the reason there was a little bit 2 weeks delay to getting to you is because we have not used them before. So we did a lot of reference checking, looking into, their systems and everything to verify.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to accept the proposal from Utility Solutions, Baser, Kansas, for the 2022 manhole rehabilitation project in the not-to-exceed amount of $38,475.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Annexation resolution for selecting I'm gonna try this again. Resolution for selecting electricity provider and annex notice. Lance, I believe is the name I got on here.
It is, Mr. Mayor, Council. State law requires that the city, by resolution, elect the electricity provider and provide notice to that provider whenever the city annexes property into the city limits. You'll remember at your March 8th meeting that the governing body did adopt an ordinance annexing the property generally located at 804 West Harry Street that you see in front of you on the screen, and that was included in your packet. More information, detailed information is included in your agenda item, but staff is recommending that Evergy Incorporated be elected as the provider and authorize the notification thereof to Evergy. Any questions, myself, your Director of Community Development, City Attorney, we can all answer them if you have any.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to adopt a
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 159th Street project, resolution to appropriate private property for the use of the city. And Les will speak to us on this.
As you're all aware, the city is responsible for the acquisition of rights of way, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and so forth for projects that are funded and administered by KDOT. We typically try to negotiate these acquisitions, but in some cases we aren't able to reach an agreement with the property owners and we're forced to go to eminent domain to acquire those. This is the first step with this property owner to initiate that eminent domain to acquire a right-of-way and temporary construction easement.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to adopt a resolution declaring the necessity to appropriate private property for the use of the city of Andover, Kansas pursuant to KSA 26-201.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 22-2. Ordinance to appropriate private property for the use of the city. And Les will talk to us.
Back on February 22nd, you adopted that resolution necessary to start the eminent domain process on this piece of property. This is the second step where you adopt an ordinance that instructs us to move on with the eminent domain acquisition of drainage easements, rights of way, and temporary construction easements for the 159th Street Improvement Project.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to adopt an ordinance authorizing and providing for the condemnation and acquisition of private property by eminent domain for the use of the city of Andover, Kansas pursuant to KSA 26-201.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 23 mayoral appointments, 23-12. 23.1, the Andover Road Business Improvement Grant Selection Committee.
Mr. Mayor, there, for 2020, included within the 2022 adopted budget was $15,000 for the Andover Road Business Improvement Grant Program. Again, this grant program's design was, its genesis was really out of the adopted comprehensive plan, which had a priority along Andover Road. The facade, the appearance, the way the built environment that citizens and visitors alike experience along Andover Road. So out came this program. Its aim is to improve the exterior appearance or aesthetics or facades of those businesses, of non-residential properties along Andover Road. This is the 6th year. Applications for that program did open February 1st and close March 31st, so in 2 days. Awarding or review of the applications and recommendation to the governing body on which project to award is done by a committee. Tonight, the action for your consideration is the formation of that committee to review and make a recommendation.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move we approve the mayor, geez, I can't say it either. Mayoral appointments of Ronnie Price, Shelby Homer, Henry, Justin Constantino, and Lance Onslaught to the Andover Road Business Improvement Grant Selection Committee.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Benefit broker RFP selection committee appointment, and Chastity's going to speak with us. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right, thank you.
Good. The City of Andover's contract with IMA as our benefits broker ends in the end of June of this year. In an effort to do our due diligence and make sure that we have the best fit as a broker, we have already sent out an RFP to vendors in the area. I've emailed 10 different vendors, and we've also posted it on the website for bidding as well. The selection committee will perform an in-depth analysis and determine who would be the best one to fit our needs. We would ask that Council Member Barry join our committee of other City of Andover staff members. We have yet to determine the staff members, but we have that on our radar to do here shortly. Any questions or anything?
Any questions for Chastity? Is it hard?
I think you can handle it.
Too late now.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve the mayor's appointment of Tim Berry as a council representative to the Benefits Broker RFP Selection Committee.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 24, executive session. 24-1, land acquisition, KSA 75-4319B6.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move we recess into an executive session for preliminary discussions relating to the acquisition of real property per KSA 75-4319B6, session to include governing body, city attorney and associates, assistant city administrator, and director of community development. The
Jenny.
open meeting
Shelby, add Jenny as well.
and the city administrator. The open meeting will resume at 8:35.
Before we
Second.
vote, I want to point out that the two council members that are on Zoom will also be in the executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Let's see, where the hell am I? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion to come back into session. It's been one of those nights. 24-2, attorney-client privilege. Oh, shit, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the Director of Community Development to offer fireworks leasing the just compensation with administrative adjustment to purchase the drainage easement and temporary construction easement for parcel R23399 for the 159th Street Improvement Project.
Second.
Second. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to authorize the Director of Community Development to offer Mary Stoffel the just compensation with administrative adjustment to purchase the street right-of-way, drainage right-of-way, and temporary construction easement for parcel R23220 for the 159th Street Improvement Project.
Second.
Second.
Or Homer.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, I move we recess an executive session for consultation with the city attorney pursuant to KSA 75-4312B2, which would be deemed privileged by the attorney-client relationship. This session is to include the governing body, city attorney and associates, the assistant city attorney or city administrator, and the city administrator. The open meeting will resume at, 8:50? 8:53 p.m.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion Can I get a motion to come out of executive session?
Mr. Mayor, I move we return from executive session.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 4-0. Now what do I do, man? I'm so confused right now.
Member items.
All right, member items. Anybody? So I was
None
asked-
tonight.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I have none tonight.
Okay, thank you. How you feeling?
About 30% better.
Hang in there, bud. So I was asked, I was asked this week, Homer, you have anything for member items?
No, just thanks for Craig setting up the Zoom, and I just appreciate Mike always being on Zoom. When he's out of town, it's not the easiest.
So I had a question this week and about a city. Are we prepared for? That's why it made me think of it. We talked about cybersecurity for the insurance. Where are we doing things to prepare ourselves for lunacy, or is there anything we can do for lunacy, or?
Yeah, no, we definitely have. And I know your director of information technology can give you more detailed briefing that I can from a very high level. I know we do have some redundancy into some of our systems from a server perspective. We've been transitioning away from on-site servers to virtual servers that are redundant to different parts of the country, to where if one is compromised, we can restore our systems and data very quickly. Obviously, the cyber liability insurance coverage we have, the multi-factor authentication that we referenced earlier, some of the duplication, redundancy, and kind of checks and balances we have on internal processes are kind of the general theme of what we have implemented. But I can certainly ask our director of information technology to give you guys a more in-depth briefing.
Lance, can you hear?
Oh, I can. Hey.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I spent about 3 hours this afternoon, or not this afternoon, but yesterday with Paul going over this exact topic. And we reviewed what we have implemented and what we are working on. We're actually going to increase some of our multi-factor. We've got other services that we could multi-factor, and so we're going to clamp down on those a bit more. And I was planning on, in the budget review process, getting him in to do a top to bottom overview of everything we've got going on. We've actually got the White House memo. We went through that point by point and made sure that everything that Biden referenced in his memo that we do have covered. There was one area that we kind of vague on, but we've got a couple projects that we're going after. So we are doing what we can, but it's a scary world out there. And I will tell you, it's not if we get hit, it's when we get hit. And it's just a matter of being ready to do what we can and recover as quickly as possible. So there will be more discussion upcoming on this.
I just need to be able to, thank you, Craig, by the way. I just need to, but I'm sorry, Chief Buchanan and Chief Russell, I'm assuming that if you're not, you will start thinking about what we do, the lights go out and what have you, So, but it's a realistic concern, and it's something that people don't like to talk about, but as Craig stated very eloquently, it's it could happen anywhere, anytime. So I just need to be able to tell the people that elected us that we are doing everything we can do humanly possible to to make sure that they're safe in case of a lunatic gets loose. So that's all I want to talk about on that.
I'd like to tell my daughter, happy birthday, the big 2-1. She's my oldest daughter. Just very proud of her and what she's doing with her life and the direction she's taken. I'm just proud papa. That's Caitlin, 21.
Wow.
21.
Well, happy birthday.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I would
sir.
like to take this opportunity to remind everybody that April 2nd, this Saturday, is our spring cleanup. Come on out at 8 o'clock. Usually there's a nice line waiting at 8 o'clock. So if you shoot for 9, you can usually get right through, but come on right out and we will help you unload your items and take those and get those hauled away for you.
Rick, that's 9 to what?
Actually, it's 8 to 11. We don't turn anyone away. So if people are there by 11, we'll stay and finish up.
Do you guys need any volunteers? Is that a volunteer thing?
We staff that. It's our public works. It's led mostly by our stormwater and parks department, but we have street people coming, and then our recycle provider is also the ones that our trash provider that helps us with this also has people out there. So, you know, if you wanted to come out, that'd be fine. I'm not sure I'd have to look at some liability issues if we just had any volunteer out. So at this point, I think we'd like to keep it mostly staff.
Thanks.
I'll make sure I'll bring my refrigerators out too.
Just so you know, we can't have anything that has refrigerant in it.
Yeah, I was kidding.
I want to remind everybody that the big dog park is closed, correct, Rick? It is closed until
It will be closed on Monday.
Monday. It will be closed Monday.
Yeah, we're going to reseed everything in there, and we just can't. The dogs are just too hard on it while we're trying to grow grass.
Anyone else?
Real quick, I do want to make sure that everyone saw that we announced the Capitol Federal Amphitheater. The first concert will be Friday, June 24th. Chris Jansen, Drew Green, and Shane Profit, and tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. And then another thing to remind you about, Lieutenant Harriman's retirement party is this Friday as well from 2 to 4 p.m. with the special presentation at 3. And then also next week, on Thursday, April 7th, Bill Bishop in our street department, his retirement party will be from 1:30 to 3:30 here or actually that one will be over at the lodge.
Susan, would you babysit me like I always? Thank you. So thank you for bringing up the things we got going on. We got the Taco Fest coming and all kinds of things coming. And we cannot control what's going on around the world, and we can't put our heads in the sand. But what we can do is live like the circle that we live in. We can live and have a good time and enjoy life. So not to be naive, but at the same time, let's focus on the things we can influence and enjoy life to the best we can with all that's going on, and share all this stuff on Facebook. And another thing, and it's kind of hard to do for the city, but I've kind of became the focal for letting Spaldings know when we're having big events so that they can staff accordingly. So, because they do get hammered and they don't really. So any opportunity you get to tell businesses that need staffing on these deals, just drop them a note or something. It's not that hard. All right. But I understand it's not our responsibility, but it's just something it's kind of like the efforts that the fire department, police department put in for the community, so
Good neighbor.
being a good neighbor. So, all right. Anybody have anything, Homer, Mike? No? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
No,
I move to adjourn.
Oh, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
all opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.